with that. So anyway, but Maurice, have I left anything out, or what's your reaction to what I had to say?
I'm all in with what you said. First of all, I got my pink on. I did my research. They said Sophie Cunningham's favorite color is pink. I said, dang it, I gotta find something. Sophie went rogue. You let us know you are back on this side of the street because we were worried for a second. But it's good to know we got Sophie Cunningham back. Listen, Whitlock, I think you hit the nail on the head. This thing is over. This thing is done.
A recent Indiana Fever win over the Washington Mystics, decided on a game-winning shot by Caitlin Clark, became the center of significant commentary after her muted reaction in the locker room and at the post-game press conference stood in contrast to the magnitude of the moment. Commentators noted the difference between her demeanor after that shot and her more visibly jubilant celebrations following big shots earlier in her career, suggesting something seemed off given the context of the win.
Listen, Whitlock, I think you hit the nail on the head. This thing is over. This thing is done. The reaction, and I'm sure Charles could speak to this being a longtime coach, when a player makes a game winner, yet alone a first professional game winner of their entire career, that's not the way you look. That's not the way you celebrate. Caitlin Clark looks like she was in a funeral in that locker room. Caitlin Clark looked like a hostage in that post-game presser. She's got to find a way to get out of there. This thing is over.
Discussion centered on Clark being pulled from the game after picking up a foul early in the second quarter and reportedly being told she couldn't check back in shortly after attempting to. The perceived tension around that decision, paired with body language observed on the bench, fueled speculation about strain between Clark and head coach Stephanie White.
She's got to find a way to get out of there. This thing is over. Caitlin Clark was off to a blazing hot start versus Washington, and Stephanie White wanted no parts of it. The second that girl picked up a foul, it was like, whew, thank you. Now I can do what I've been wanting to do, which is to sit you down. And Jason, you know, they checked her out 30 seconds into the second quarter, and a few minutes later, Caitlin Clark tried to check back in the game, and Stephanie White told her, no, go sit down, and Caitlin Clark was.
Commentators also broke down the final possession itself, noting that the play appeared to be designed for Kelsey Mitchell based on the formation, with Clark's game-winning shot coming as something of an improvised or secondary option rather than the play as originally drawn up. That reading was reinforced by comments from teammate Lexi Hull in a radio interview, who indicated the play wasn't originally intended to unfold the way it did, and by the Fever asking Sophie Cunningham to remove a social media post about the sequence shortly after it went up.
Clark was absolutely pissed about it, and Sophie Cunningham was telling her, hey, it's okay. You could see that interaction on the bench as well. But this thing is done, man, and I think that at this point, it is a PR battle. Caitlin doesn't want to look like the bad person. The Indiana Fever want her to force a trade so they could say, hey, there was nothing we could do. We did everything we can to keep her. She forced us to do this. It's a PR battle, but Caitlin has to find a way to get out of there. It's a PR battle, but Caitlin has to find a way to get out of there. Seeing her, I did a comparison. You know, she made a bunch of big shots at Iowa, obviously. I did a comparison of her in the locker room and at the press conference after she hit that huge game winner versus Indiana while she was in college. Compared to this, it doesn't even look like the same human being, guys. It's nasty. It's bad. She has to get away from there. I don't care if you have to take a PR hit. At this point, the Indiana Fever are doing more than enough to damage your brand at this point.
The broader argument made was that Indiana's offensive identity has been caught between two eras. A stretch of strong play with Mitchell as the primary scoring option during Clark's absence the previous season, and the return to building around Clark this year, without fully committing to either approach, which some commentators argued has made it difficult for both guards to maximize their effectiveness together. Ultimately, panelists floated the idea that Clark and the organization might be better served by pursuing a trade, allowing Indiana to build a roster around Mitchell and Aliyah Boston in a system suited to their strengths, while Clark could pursue a franchise built more directly around her own playing style.
To damage your brand at this point, you need to get away from them.
Charles, your thoughts?
Well, when you get to the point where they're not even trying to hide it, it's a real problem. And you watch the body language. You know, that locker room scene, with Caitlin Clark, I haven't worked for any coaches that wouldn't have looked at her and said, "Hey, is there a problem?" I mean, there's something going on here. You know, when she walked off the court against Washington,
It was acknowledged this would be a difficult and reputationally sensitive decision for all parties involved, but that the fit between the two guards under the current system, in the commentator's view, isn't sustainable without a significant approach change from the coaching staff.
and I was talking to Jason yesterday, and he had mentioned it already, but I mean, I slowed it down. Okay, Sophie Cunningham is, she's patting her on the back, but when she gets to Stephanie White, she intentionally avoids looking at her and just kind of casually sticks her hand out there, and she does the same with a couple of coaches. And she gets all the way to the end of the bench before you see one of her teammates is ready to just pick her up and jump for joy. It was almost as if
The discussion opened around whether the excitement surrounding Caitlin Clark has started to fade, prompting different takes from the panel. One commentator argued the hype around Clark is unlikely to disappear regardless of on-court struggles, suggesting her popularity is durable enough that even a decline in performance wouldn't diminish her legacy or fan base.
for joy. It was almost as if that they said, "Boy, anybody but you, anybody but you. We don't want you making this shot. Anybody but you." And I didn't need Sophie Cunningham to tell me who that last play was drawn up for. I just looked at the set. I mean, you got Kelton Mitchell standing where she was standing. Well, it's obvious they're finna bring her to the ball. That's and it's obviously Caden's gonna set a back screen and then some kind of action over there. So yeah, that's not debatable.
He acknowledged noticing coaching decisions in the previous game that seemed to limit her three-point attempts from deep range, along with broader officiating or structural changes around her play, but maintained that her overall following would remain strong regardless. Another panelist offered a more measured take, saying the excitement hasn't disappeared entirely, but acknowledged Clark has been shooting poorly from three-point range recently, despite otherwise solid overall play.
Stop supporting Caitlin Clark? No, I do not. Caitlin Clark could not dribble a basketball today and retire, and her name will be etched in concrete as one of the greatest Caucasian athletes to ever walk this earth.
Maurice, thrill is gone or no?
I don't think it's completely, it's not gone. I had to sleep on it. Part of me last night felt like, she's a couple 3-point makes away from the.
He argued her signature long-range shooting is a key part of what draws fans to her game specifically, and expressed frustration that the coaching staff hasn't leaned more into showcasing that part of her game. He drew a comparison to how fans want to see a
Felt like, she's a couple 3-point makes away from the excitement. I mean, if she hits a couple of these threes, the actual gameplay from her has been good. She just can't throw a rock in the ocean right now from the 3-point line. But wait a second, Jason, that was blasphemous. Don't ever mention Peyton Pritchard in the same breath as Caitlin Clark. Don't do that again, Jason. I like you a lot. Let's not do that ever again. Never mention Peyton Pritchard with Caitlin Clark. And it is like a dunk.
He also raised confusion about Aaliyah Boston being used further from the basket in a more perimeter-oriented role this season, arguing that shift has limited Boston's own scoring efficiency, in addition to disrupting Clark's game.
Again, never mention Peyton Pritchard with Caitlin Clark, and it is like a dunk when they make layups in the WNBA, because we watch them, a lot of them try to make layups, and they make it look like long division. So it is pretty exciting when they do a layup and it actually goes in. But she's just not making the 3-point shot right now for whatever reason. I do think she will start making it, and she better, because you are spot on. Listen, when you went to an NBA game and at Duke or whatever, and you saw Zion on a fast break, you thought he was going to break the.
Another panelist offered a more speculative theory, suggesting the organization and league may be intentionally working to distance themselves from Clark's fan base specifically, framing it as a reaction to negative press coverage and online criticism the team has received.
Whatever, and you saw Zion on a fast break, you thought he was going to break the backboard. You didn't want to see him just do a layup. The logo 3 is a staple in Caitlin Clark's game, and it is a reason that people want to come out and buy tickets. And For whatever reason, Stephanie White, Kelly Crosskopf, Amber Cox, and the Indiana Fever have not leaned into Caitlin Clark's strengths. They have not leaned into the exciting play. And a lot like Jason, I don't believe that under
This position was presented as personal opinion and speculation rather than confirmed fact, arguing that friction between certain fans and the league's broader culture has created tension that the panelist believes has gone unaddressed by team and league leadership.
They have not leaned into the exciting play. And a lot like Jason, I don't believe that under Stephanie White. You know, we watched games during Caitlin Clark's rookie year in Dallas versus the Wings. He had 20-some points and 20 assists. We watched this girl get 20-plus assists in games. I don't believe that's going to be able to happen in the Stephanie White system because all Stephanie White is looking to do is to not do the things that she does well. The pick and roll with Aaliyah Boston. You know, I was confused. How Aaliyah Boston, you got $6 million.
Building on that, another panelist offered his own opinion that some level of tension exists between a segment of Clark's fan base and elements of the league's leadership and culture, speculating that declining ticket sales in Indiana may be connected to fans feeling that Clark hasn't publicly addressed criticism directed at her supporters.
How Aaliyah Boston, you got $6 million. You didn't score in the first half. And I'm like, what is going on? But the fact of the matter is, Aaliyah Boston is as affected as Caitlin Clark because you've decided to take her away from the basket because you're so concerned with taking the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands and making Aaliyah Boston a hub, playing point center. All of this stuff, none of this stuff makes sense. And it's having even an effect on Aaliyah Boston as well. I don't think that I believe that Caitlin is great. I believe she'll deliver some exciting.
He acknowledged this was his own interpretation of the situation rather than anything confirmed by the team or player herself, and noted that Clark's on-court shot selection last season, including some contested logo three-point attempts, may have actually hurt team efficiency at times, suggesting a more balanced shot selection could benefit the team regardless of the broader fan base debate.
On Aaliyah Boston as well. I don't think that I believe that Caitlin is great. I believe she'll deliver some exciting moments. Will it be to the level of her rookie season or anything we saw at Iowa? As long as Stephanie White is on the sideline, I don't believe so.
I believe as long as Caitlin Clark is in the Indiana Fever uniform, they're going to do everything in their power to systematically remove her fans. I think this goes back to the fans. See, the fans is playing a factor in their decisions with the operation of Caitlin Clark. See, the Indiana Fever and the WNBA.
He also drew a comparison to Clark's college coaching environment at Iowa under Lisa Bluter, suggesting she felt fully supported within that program regardless of differing personal backgrounds among her coaching staff, and expressed the opinion that the current professional environment may not offer that same sense of full organizational support, though this too was presented as personal interpretation rather than confirmed insight into the locker room dynamic.
Clark. See, the Indiana Fever and the WNBA do not want all of this attention. It's clear as day, because if they did, they'll just go ahead and let Caitlin Clark shoot her shot. To me, I believe that they're sick of the fans, they're sick of the Twitter trolls, they're sick of it all. That's why they are doing this to Caitlin Clark. It's no secret that Stephanie White, Amber Cox, Kelly, all of these people hate the fans. We see it time and time again. The more we cover Caitlin Clark, how many negative stories come out regarding the fans than positive.
Overall, the discussion reflected a mix of statistical analysis regarding Clark's shooting slump and offensive role, alongside more speculative opinions about fan relations and organizational dynamics. The latter points presented explicitly as the panelists' personal theories rather than confirmed reporting.